Welcome back to The Mind, a podcast series by the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre New Zealand, a conversation at the meeting point of modern science and the contemplative traditions of yoga and Vedanta. I'm Rama, your host. For 4 lessons, the group has gathered 4 tools: the breath, trained attention, action as offering, and clear seeing. Today, Swamiji does something that pulls them all together. He shows that these are not 4 separate techniques you pick between, like apps on a phone, but 4 links of a single chain, and that the order matters. To make it unforgettable, he tells one of the great teaching stories about a minister imprisoned at the top of a sheer tower, who escapes not by force, but by a beetle, a smear of honey, and a thread so thin it seems useless. It turns out to be the most practical thing in the whole module. Why you cannot leap straight to deep peace, why you must start with the frailest, most available thing, and how each small step puts the next within reach. And at the end, Swamiji shows them a picture, an emblem with a swan at its center, that Swami Vivekananda designed to hold this entire teaching in a single image. The chain of Ascent. Let's join them. The same room. The group has the settled focus of people who have come a long way together and can feel the journey nearing something.
Last week, each of you took up the dry, hard reason of clear seeing. Sarah, the wave and the watcher.
It became my favourite thing. When a feeling rose, I'd ask what it was passing through and meet that steady part. My mood stopped being verdicts on me. They became weather, and I became the sky they move across. That one shift has been worth the whole course.
That is no small fruit, Sarah. James?
I took the belief that stings most. I'm a failure when a class goes wrong, and actually interrogated it, and it didn't survive. A bad class is a wave. I'd glued a whole identity to it. Pulling them apart was a relief I didn't expect.
You loosened a knot you had carried for years, James. Kai?
2 experiments. Seeing through a craving worked better than willpower ever did. It just deflated when I looked at it straight. And the company one, I sat with a steadier group, and yeah, annoyingly, my own practice was clearer for days after. I can't fully explain it, but the data's the data.
The honest scientist reports the result even when it surprises her, Kai. Dr. Watson?
The reframe, anxiety as a wave rather than an identity, was powerful in the room, and separating chosen solitude from collapse sharpened my judgment a great deal. But I have a practical problem now, Swamiji. I have 4 good tools and 4 lessons worth of patience, and I find myself unsure which to reach for, when and in what order. It can feel like a pile of techniques rather than a path.
Then today is exactly your lesson, Doctor, because today the pile becomes a path. We take the 4 tools you have gathered, and I show you they were never 4 separate things. They are 4 links of one chain, and there is a right order to take them up. And I am going to teach it to you with a story, because the tradition itself teaches it with this story, and once you have heard it, you will never again be confused about which tool comes first. Begin with where you actually are, right now. You feel yourself as someone here, reading or listening, and the words are there. A knower on the inside, a world on the outside. This split is so constant we never notice it. It feels not like an experience, but like the plain shape of reality. The contemplative traditions say something striking about it, that this one split, knower and known, is the source of the whole sense of a world made of separate things. One division, and the many follow.
That's the wobble again, isn't it? The 2 notes not quite matching thing.
It is exactly the wobble, Kai. You have been paying attention. The felt gap between me here and that there is the same restless flicker we have met all along. And here is the energetic side of it. The tradition pictures the life energy in us normally seesawing between 2 side channels, one cooling and inward, one warming and outward, swinging back and forth, side to side. That lateral seesaw is what holds the split in place. And freedom is pictured as the energy leaving the seesaw and gathering instead into a central channel up the middle, and as it gathers there, the wobble falls toward zero, and the ground underneath the split begins to show.
So why can't you just decide to stop the seesaw, will yourself across?
Because of the trap at the heart of the whole thing, James, and it is worth seeing clearly. The split is a subject straining against an object. So when you try to escape it, who is trying? A subject. Against what? The object of my unenlightened state. You have just made one more split. Pushing harder on the walls of the prison is itself another act of the very thing that built the prison. More effort to get out is more seesaw. You cannot defeat the structure on its own terms, because every move on its terms feeds it. This is the predicament. And there is a story that shows the only way out of a prison like that. Swami Vivekananda tells it. There was once a minister to a great king who fell into disgrace, and as punishment the king had him shut at the very top of a high tower and left there to die. A sheer wall, no stair, no way down. But the minister had a faithful and clever wife, who came to the foot of the tower at night and called up to him, "What can I do to save you?"
And he can't just climb down. There's nothing to climb.
Nothing, Sarah. And notice he is not stupid and not weak. He is trapped by the structure of the thing, exactly as we are. So listen to what he asks her to bring, because it sounds absurd. He says, "Come back tomorrow night and bring a long rope, some stout twine, some pack thread, a reel of fine silken thread, a beetle, and a little honey." She is baffled, but she obeys, and then he calls down his instructions. Tie the end of the silken thread to the beetle. Put a single drop of honey on its feelers, and set it on the wall, facing up.
A beetle to escape a tower.
A beetle, Kai, and the beetle, smelling the honey just ahead of it, begins to climb, slowly, patiently, always toward the scent, all the way up the sheer wall until it reaches the top, where the minister picks it up. And now he holds the end of the silken thread. He calls down, "Tie the other end to the pack thread." He draws the silken thread up, and now he holds the pack thread. To that she ties the stout twine. He draws that up. And to the twine she ties the strong rope. He draws the rope up, makes it fast, and climbs down to freedom. Now hear what Swami Vivekananda says it means, because the whole lesson is in his next sentence. The breath, he says, is the silken thread. By laying hold of it, you grasp the pack thread of the nerve currents, by that the stout twine of the thoughts, and by that, at last, the rope of the life energy itself, controlling which you reach freedom. Breath, then attention, then the mind, then the deep energy. 4 links, from the frailest and most available up to the one strong enough to carry you out.
That answers my question completely. I was trying to hand patients the rope, but you cannot grasp the rope from the ground. It's too high, too strong, too far. You can only start with the silken thread, the breath, the one thing already within reach of anyone.
That is the entire practical wisdom of it, Doctor. The deepest piece, the rope, cannot be seized directly. Tell an agitated person to just be at peace, and you have handed them a rope they cannot reach. But anyone, in any state, can take a slow breath. The breath is frail and humble, and always available, and crucially, it is connected, through the nerve currents and the mind, all the way up to the deepest energy. Grasp the thread you can actually reach, and it leads, link by link, to the one you cannot. That is why the practices must be taken up in order, from the most accessible to the most subtle.
And the beetle and the honey? That detail feels like it matters to you.
It matters more than all the rest, Sarah. Notice the beetle is not pushed up the wall. Nothing forces it. It is drawn up by the scent of sweetness above it. And that is the secret of the whole ascent. You do not haul yourself up the tower by sheer willpower. You set the conditions. You attach the thread. You point yourself upward. And then a higher sweetness does the actual drawing. The tradition calls that drawing from above grace. Your effort is only the consent, the attaching of the thread. The lift itself comes from what is above you. And this is what saves the whole path from becoming one more exhausting project of the ego because, and hold this, the ego cannot climb the tower. The ego is the tower. What climbs is something gentler, drawn upward, using the threads you patiently put in place.
The grace part is where I get off the bus, you know that. But I'll take the structural half. Don't grab for the rope, start with the thread. And don't try to bludgeon your way to calm by force.
And the structural half is genuinely yours to keep, Kai, with no belief attached. Start with the accessible thread. Let each link lead to the next. Stop straining at the walls. Even just that much will change how you practice. The sweetness you can leave as an open question and simply watch whether something seems to draw you or not. Report the data, as always. So let me lay the chain out plainly, because you already hold every link. You have done all four. You simply have not seen them as one chain until now. The silken thread is the breath, the rhythm and sound of Lesson 5.2, the most accessible point of all, taught first not because it is deepest, but because it is nearest. The pack thread is attention, Lesson 5.3, gathering the mind inward while the senses stay open, the next link up. The stout twine is the thoughts, the clear seeing of Lesson 5.5, dissolving the constructs that keep the mind divided. And the rope is the deepest attention of all, resting right at the gap, the still pause between two breaths or two thoughts, where, as we touched on in the attention lesson, something begins to show through. Each link steadies the system enough to grasp the next. The breath settles you enough to gather attention. Gathered attention quiets the thoughts. The quiet mind can finally rest at the gap.
That's 4, but there were 5 lessons of practice. Where does action, the offering, fit?
A sharp catch, James, and its placement is beautiful. Action as offering, Lesson 5.4, is not one of the 4 links. It is the steadiness of the hands that hold the chain. Think of it. All day, outside your formal practice, every act is either thickening the riverbed or lightening it. If your day is full of grasping, reactive action, the riverbed thickens faster than your morning practice can lighten it, and the silken thread keeps slipping out of your hands. Offered action all day keeps the hands steady and the filter light, so that when you sit, you can actually take hold of the thread and keep hold of it. Karma is not a rung on the ladder. It is what keeps your grip from failing.
So the prescription order finally makes sense as a whole. Keep the hands steady all day through the quality of action, and then, in practice, start at the thread the patient can actually reach and let it lead upward. I will never again hand someone the rope first.
You have the whole method now, Doctor. And there is one last thing I want to show you, because Swami Vivekananda left the perfect summary of all of this, not in words, but in a single picture. In 1901, he sketched a design for the seal of his order and explained it. Let me show you. A lake with wavy water. a lotus blossoming on it, a sun rising behind, a serpent encircling the whole, and a swan upon the water at the center. He said, "The wavy waters are action. The lotus is devotion. The rising sun is knowledge. The encircling serpent is disciplined attention and the awakened inner energy. And the swan is the supreme self." The meaning, he said, is that by the union of these, the vision of the self is reached.
So all 4 of our doorways are in that one picture.
All 4, Sarah, and this is the deepest confirmation of everything we have built, action, the steady hands, is the water that nourishes everything without fuss. Devotion, the heart's turning we met in chant and the offering question, is the lotus that grows out of muddy water yet rises clean. Knowledge is the rising sun, the light that tells the lasting from the passing, the way dawn separates shapes from the dark. And disciplined attention, carried to its depth, is the serpent energy gathering and rising up the central channel. 4 faculties of a whole human being, the will, the heart, the reason, the disciplined mind, and only their union makes the balanced person in whom the self can be recognized. They are not 4 rival religions, they are one Ascent.
And the swan in the middle?
The swan, Kai, rests untouched at the very center, while the 4 encircle it. It is the self, the still awareness, the screen behind the film we have spoken of all along. And here is the final point, the one that ties the whole module together. The 4 yogas do not produce the swan. They do not manufacture the self, which was never missing for a moment. They only clear away what hid it, until what was always at the center is recognized. Exactly like the tower, the 4 threads do not create the freedom at the top. They are simply how you climb to the freedom that was your own nature the whole time. Swami Vivekananda set one line beneath the picture, and it is a prayer of grace, not of effort. It does not say, "May we climb." It says, "May that swan, the Supreme Self, awaken our higher understanding." The lifting is from above. We attach the thread and point upward. The honey does the drawing. This week is about the chain itself, not a single new tool. Each of you, practice starting where you can actually start, and letting one link lead to the next. Sarah, here is yours. Once a day, run the small chain in order, a few slow breaths first, the silken thread, until the body settles. Only then rest your attention, the pack thread, and only then, if a thought storm is there, see it as passing. Notice how much easier each step is because the one before it was taken. Do not start by trying to be calm. Start by breathing.
Breath first, then attention, then seeing, in that order, and notice that the order is what makes it work. That's the opposite of how I usually flail at it. Done.
The order is the whole gift, Sarah. James, yours is diagnostic, for yourself. On a hard day this week, before reaching for anything, ask, which thread can I actually grasp right now? On a scattered day, it may only be the breath. Grasp that one, and only that one, and trust it to lead upward, instead of demanding the rope of instant peace.
Ask which thread is actually within reach today. Grasp that one. Stop demanding the rope. That's a kinder and more realistic way to practice. Done.
Kinder and far more effective, James. Kai, yours is an experiment in the sequence claim itself. Once this week, try the two approaches back to back when you are agitated. First, try to force yourself calm directly. grab for the rope and note how it goes. Then, start with 2 minutes of slow breath and let it lead. Compare honestly which one actually worked. You are testing whether the chain is real.
Test forcing calm against starting with breath, head to head, and see which delivers. That's a clean experiment, and I already suspect the answer, but I'll run it properly. Done.
Run it properly and let the result teach you, Kai. And Dr. Watson, yours is the prescription order itself. This week, with one patient, consciously resist offering the deepest tool first. Start them at the most accessible thread for their state, almost always the breath, and build upward only as each link steadies. And keep their daily action in view as the steadiness of the hands. Watch whether sequencing the tools works better than presenting them as a menu.
Start at the reachable thread, build link by link, keep the hands steady through daily action. That turns my pile of techniques into an actual treatment sequence. I'll bring you the results.
Then the chain is in all your hands now. Next time, we follow it all the way up. We have brought the threads to the foot of the central channel. Next lesson, we climb it and look honestly at what stands at the very top of the tower, the deepest architecture this whole course has been pointing toward. Until then.
And so the 4 tools became one chain. Swamiji began with a prison we rarely notice we are in, the constant sense of a self in here and a world out there, a split that cannot be escaped by force, because the very effort to escape is one more act of the divided mind straining against itself. Then came the story that holds the whole module, the minister trapped at the top of a sheer tower, who escapes not by strength, but by a beetle drawn upward on the scent of honey, carrying first a silken thread, then a pack thread, then twine, then at last the rope strong enough to bear him down. The breath is that silken thread, frail and humble, and always within reach, yet connected link by link to the deepest energy that finally frees us, which is why the practices must be taken in order, the accessible before the subtle, and why you can never simply seize the rope of deep peace directly. The group saw their 4 doorways take their places as the 4 links, with action as offering revealed not as a rung at all, but as the steady hands that hold the whole chain, keeping the day from undoing the practice. And they were shown the emblem Swami Vivekananda designed, the wavy waters of action, the lotus of devotion, the rising sun of knowledge, the encircling serpent of disciplined attention, and at the center, the swan of the self, which the 4 do not create, but only uncover. And threaded through all of it, the gentlest truth, that the climber does not haul himself up by will, but sets the conditions and is drawn from above. For the ego cannot climb the tower. The ego is the tower. To go deeper, the full lesson 5.6 is available in the course Beginners, Conversations on the Mind in the Light of Modern and Spiritual Sciences on the Ramakrishna Vedanta Center's website, www.vedanta.nz. It is also available as an app on Google Play and the Apple App Store by searching for Vedanta NZ. The threads have reached the foot of the central channel. Next time, we climb it. Until then, be gentle with your mind.